Welcome to Board Ghost, story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, but has it been forever?
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experiences. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we will play for you. Tonight's offering is a continuation of our game of Children of the Fall. Children of the Fall is released by Frenzy Kitty Games and designed by Gareth Graham. He recently finished an Indiegogo, and the books are hitting availability. I think it's available maybe on PDF and possibly a hardcover or a softcover. Our humble players, myself, John Holt, with me,
Ken Breeze.
And Tim Rodriguez for
right.
round 2.
We are playing a post-apocalyptic world wherein children are the last ones left, and the older children can turn into monsters once they hit a certain age threshold. We've kind of set up like a cursed, hexed, haunted world a little bit, where these kids who live in like a LA urban sprawl kind of place are hunkered down in a church. One of their number has been stolen, and they are trying to find a way to get them back. And things are not going super well. We'll just get right back into it, right? You'd listen to the previous episode to hear our setup, learn more about our characters, and see where we're at. So here we go with part 2 of our tale.
We had found Evan, or rather he had found us, and he had been chasing Benson through the park. And as Benson scouted out the building, we did find Evans because he burst through a window, and it seemed that he had been changed to some degree.
At least started.
At least started to change. That's right. The three of us are there. Evan is there. We've been able to sort of pin him down to the ground. Benson and Linus, my character, are sort of pinning him down. As Jessup, John, you are standing over all this and watching it. And I'm crying out to you, quick, cast a reverse spell on him.
I honestly, I think the best thing to do is just get him back to the base. I think he's really confused. I don't think a spell's going to help. I think he just needs to get back to the church with us.
Evans, did you tell him anything? Evans!
Yeah, see, he's hungry. He's probably thirsty.
Does sound like Evan. I mean, he does love candy. Well, look, buddy, I brought some candy right here for you. I thought you might want some. It's just a little Snickers bar. Oh, you want me to open it up and put it in your mouth?
His tongue kind of extends out a little bit further than it should.
That's not normal. That's not natural. Well, bud, everything's going to be just fine. We're going to get you back to the Haven. We'll get you fixed up.
Are you sure that we should take this back to the Haven?
It's Evan. He's just a kid.
I mean,
he's confused. We tell these kids enough scary stories. Of course they're going to believe us.
That you want to just make that story just really, really real right now?
Look, this whole thing, we psych ourselves up and spook ourselves out. And this is what happens. We're going to spook out these kids, and they're going to go wackadoo. Little Evan just needs some rest, and he just needs some food.
He's been changed by the witches, and he needs a magic cure.
Maybe he needs just the Snickers bar.
Here, eat this. I give him the Snickers bar. He just inhales it and doesn't seem to change, or at least doesn't seem to change back into what he was before.
I mean, it's not immediate, but
maybe I think that this is just the start, that if we don't do something soon, he's probably going to change fully once the moon rises tonight.
Fine.
I mean, let's get him back to the church.
Maybe there's some magic stuff inside that stone house. Let's go in there and get it.
If we're going to go back in the house, though, what do we do with him?
I don't know, tie him up.
I brought duct tape. It's fine.
Okay. I mean, sure. But we should hide him somewhere.
Okay.
I mean, we got to... Evan, you going to be okay? Look, here, tape his hands around this water bottle so he can still drink water.
You want to leave his hands that free?
No. Tape it Like tape his hands
Okay.
to the water bottle, and then that way he can drink it.
You know, like Edward Forty's hands.
Yeah.
What?
Like this.
You never heard
like,
of that game?
Tape his hands.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, my big brother used to play that game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, older kids.
What older kids are you know? I've never heard of this.
Yeah, well, you know,
It's fine. It's fine.
it's just a game that kids play.
Why would you have 40 hands?
It's not like a 40 hands.
I don't know what you're talking.
Whatever.
God.
So what are we gonna do?
Well, let's go in there. Let's go find the magic shit.
I mean, okay. I mean, if you insist, should one of us stay back with him?
All right, fine. I'll stay, and I'll actually keep an eye out, and I'll actually warn you if something starts happening. Unlike
Nothing
that first
happened.
stupid
Like
tree.
you went in. We watched you kind of like walk around.
You all panicked
then-
at the first tree.
And then Evan was leaning on the window and fell out on it, like at you, and you spooked and ran and screamed like a baby and caught your arm on that tree.
Okay, number one, those trees are actually monster trees.
Sure, whatever. I mean, again, we keep telling everybody these spooky stories.
Fine.
They're not stories, Jessup. This is real.
Yeah, the real things, like, yeah, there are monster things like that goat guy and stuff. Those are like the crazies. But like, we can't become the crazies too.
Well, Evans
We
is,
can't let that happen.
Evans, something is wrong with him. He's been changed.
Okay, all right.
And Benson's right. We can't bring a changed person back to the camp.
Well, all right. So what do you want to do? See if we can
Let's
find
go
a way
in
to
there
unchange
Yeah,
him?
let's see if we can unchange him.
Okay.
Sweet.
We head on
We
in.
head in. And that's the scene.
We walk past the grove of stuff. We like basically kind of get up to where you were.
I
Where,
don't
the
see the
broken
trees
window.
moving at all. What was he talking about?
I don't know.
They could move.
Again, we
Stay away from him.
we just put stuff in each other's heads and we all like get suggested.
This
Because there's tons of scary stuff out there that we're seeing all the time. Look, we can climb in through that window.
witches
that
are
Evan
real,
broke through.
though. You know the witches are real.
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course. Of course, witches are real.
I mean, you
Sure.
told us that you came from a family of witches.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely did. Listen, I definitely did. You don't have to worry about any of that. But well, all right. Well, so they might have like a source of power. We should find that, and maybe that if we find the source of power,
Good idea.
we can save Evan. Maybe I don't know. Well,
Yes,
let's go
so
through this
take the source
window.
of power.
Let's go through this window here. Here, I'm gonna boost you up.
Okay.
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 And so you're still kind of have a bum leg.
Oh, yeah.
So you're still and I boost you through the broken window. I kind of scramble in myself, watching out for the broken glass. And we're now in a like rundown, like basically like once we've entered this grove, we weren't paying attention to like when we turned away from the trees, they started like kind of crawling through the ground towards us, and like behind them, like almost like they're crawling through a charnel house. Like limbs and torsos start like being unearthed beneath them from like where they're wrapped around their roots, and those are the things that are like closing in behind us. But we weren't
as
paying
we
any
turn
attention
our back
to.
on them.
And so we enter this house, and this grove, not only is sound kind of gone, but the color is almost sapped out of the world too. So we're in this like gray, bare wood room with like a yawning black door beyond it. I mean, there's only one way to go. You ready?
What this place used to be? Is it a maintenance shed?
I think it was like they built the park around like an old house. Like it used to be somebody's old house on this land, and then they just donated the park. And so this was like a park. They kept tools and it
shut
like
up.
I remember my folks came here for like a fundraiser once. But like again, it's because it was for the park. But it's like a park. The city owns this house.
As we're talking, we're realizing that there is glow that's starting to emanate from the yawning portal ahead of us. And the glow we're starting to see it seems to, from the rim of some sort of bathtub, seeing the shine off of this matte, dull metal, eerie, shining glow, what's illuminating the room ahead of us. It does look like an abandoned historical house, wood floor and stone walls, cobwebs.
We inch our way towards it, and it is like a claw-footed tub.
Yeah.
And the water is almost like it's full of mercury.
Mm.
You can't see into the
Bright
reflective surface.
silver,
Yeah. But there's still light coming from beneath it somehow,
Yeah.
glinting and shimmering around the room. It's mesmerizing. and Jessup like leans closer and closer, and a clawed hand reaches out of it and pulls him in. And as soon as his face enters, it's like his whole body is like submerged in like a lake or something. Like he's swimming in a vast, bottomless, black, watery place. He's dragged deeper and deeper into the darkness. Screams and air is all that comes out. And then he hears like a and spills across the floor of this thing, of this place. And he sees Linus standing above him holding the hammer that we had taken from the bridge. And the side of the ceramic tub is all shattered. And this like now just black, filthy water pours around on the floor, and choking and gasping and vomiting up this like foul water. Jessup lays shivering on the floor. I don't know if I could keep doing this. We should just go back.
I bring the hammer down with a strong thump to crush the sort of flopping arm with a hand on it that seemed to have been inside the cauldron.
Yeah, and and as you bring the hammer down, it just sort of like splashes and is gone. It's like it was just almost like it was made of water as well.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any magic shit here for us. Jessup, looking around the room, it seems pretty barren. Maybe a few sort of chalked symbols on the ground and on the walls.
Well, I don't know. We should either go back or I don't know. I just don't know. We look back to the doorway that we had come through, and it's gone. It's just a blank wall now. And so we're kind of in this room with a broken tub and water dripping through the floorboards, and like we hear it kind of like it falling into the floor below, like bling, like pretty far. And that's where the scene ends.
Yep.
So Benson is sitting outside with Evan. He's mostly not talking to Evan, but eventually just like the quiet is a lot. It's like, wish you hadn't wandered off. This is stupid. It's just gonna put us all in more danger and trouble than you're worth. Evan starts to cry a little bit. Benson looks over and his pupils have reformed into normal eyes. The bumps on his head have started to recede. His hands are still super messed up, but like they're not, like they look like he's in pain as opposed to like this is a monstrous thing. And he just starts like, I'm sorry. It's like, whatever. You shouldn't have run off. We shouldn't have come after you. Like Linus is here, Jessup is here, and they're both hurt already. Like my arm got a little messed up too, whatever. But this is your fault. And then there's this loud crunch sound from inside the house. And we both kind of start and look up. The scenery around us has become more gray as the trees seem to be moving in, starting to weave their branches together into a dark dome with one hole that's poking out the side that shows the moon starting to rise. I just say, oh no.
As that sort of briefest sliver of moonlight flashes over you and Evan, his eyes change color to reflect the silvery glow of the moon, but it's just like the cauldron where there's a silvery mercury color or consistency to his eyes. Around the sides are like this greenish glow, almost as if the light is being kept inside somehow. Words of gibberish, arcane power start to blah, 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 come out of his mouth.
Whatever. Maybe you ate something. I just backhand him. The water splashes up into his eyes. A splash and like sizzling sound. His eyes clear. He just starts vomiting like profusely. This sort of black, like nasty water, like the same as you described a moment ago. When he's done, he's clearly himself again. I feel terrible. I feel like I ate too much candy.
Too much candy. I don't want any more candy.
I don't want any more candy.
No more.
They gave me so much.
No more candy.
Okay, look, Linus and Jessup have been in there a long time. And if nothing else, you're supposed to go home. So
I want to go home.
Fine, we're going to do that.
We are inside the abandoned ancient cottage in the middle of this haunted forest park forest. It's all dark in here. Even though it's been daytime, it's been traveling. It's been getting later and later in the day, and as we just heard, the moon is starting to rise, so dusk is definitely starting to fall. The way we got in here has magically been sealed, so there's not really any light coming in to the cottage. All the windows have been boarded up, doors as well. This is a place that had been abandoned by society. But the liquid that had just come from the tub/cauldron was glowing and continues to glow. And it provides this dim ambient light that's dripping through the floorboards of the cottage. And we're realizing that there is, in fact, another doorway leading to stone stairs that go down. Not seeing any other really exits, and knowing that we still need to find some magic shit to bring back to the chapel, I heft the hammer and motion with my head down the stairs as I start heading that way.
Yeah, and those stairs are slick.
So slick.
With water
So
and slime
slick.
and filth.
So slick with slime. But they are super slick. I go to head down them without even thinking that. And the slime and the water is trickling down the stairs almost like a sort of this streaming waterfall that came out of the cauldron. It's been spreading. And I do slip on sort of the mercury-colored liquid. However, as you get your mag light out, Jessup, to sort of shine in my path so I can see where I'm going, I slip as I'm almost going to tumble forward. I throw out my left hand, though, and catch myself by grabbing something that's sticking out of the wall. Something I can't really see, but it's squishy, weirdly solid. As your mag light flows over it, I can see exactly what it is. And it is a disembodied hand that is sticking out of the wall. And in fact, as your light plays along the wall, we see more and more of these hands just sticking out of the sides of this stairway wall as it goes down. And I quickly sort of, let go of it as just sort of reflexively the hand starts to curl in on itself as if it would have grasped my hand as well had I kept it there.
Nice.
And I look at you and I say, we're in it now. If you have any magic wards, now's the time. And I pull out my mother's necklace, display it.
I shine the flashlight in her face and say, I'll keep some in mind. If you think on them, they can come out. I'll think on them.
Look back at you and I say, Jessup, really gotta think hard. Now's the time.
Okay. And as I train the flashlight back down the stairs, all you see is the glow from the Dracula teeth.
As we're heading down, I whisper, don't worry. I'll tell you a secret. Something I haven't told anyone else.
A secret? What?
You can, don't worry, you'll be safe with me. I'm not really 14. I'm actually 16.
What?
Don't worry, I'm older. That's how I know how to do things so good.
You could...
Just don't tell anybody.
That's really dangerous. You could turn at any time.
No, it's fine. It's all right. I'll be protected.
He's actually lets you get a little bit ahead of him
Yeah,
on the stairs.
Just follow me down these stairs. Everything will be just cool.
I think as you get a little bit ahead, step into glancing back and you step 1 foot into a chalk circle and smudge the edge.
So I step into the chalk circle and smudge the edge. As I do, that circle lights up. We've been seeing some neon-colored mercury liquid dripping from the floorboards above. Caused a little bit of very, very, very faint dim light in this room, basically only around where these drips and drabs have happened. But as I step into this chalk circle, realizing finally what it is, it lights up with green energy as well, as do 6 other circles that are around a centralized altar. And curled around this altar, sleeping on the ground, are these witches, because they sleep during the day and they only come out at night. They seem to be waking up, stirring. They all have no fingers and no toes. They apparently eating fingers and toes is a big part of their cult. They're waking up. The lights are turning on. It's obvious that these are magical circles. It's tough for me to get my foot out of the circle. It's almost like it's sucking me further into it. And I turn around and look at you, Jessup, with this silent staring, mouth open, trying to be quiet, but reaching for you.
Yeah,
try
and
to
at
get
this
me
point,
out of
I've
there.
like again clutched the flashlight to my face, and you just see sheer terror as I look past you, and then I look at you and turn off my flashlight, and it's just darkness there on the stairs. You can't see.
No. I think that's a scene.
All right, this is who knows how much longer later. The moon is higher in the sky now. The house, like, light erupts from all the cracks, a green light, and Jessup is just stumbling out of this park, out of the grove, looking for any sign of Benson and Evan, and he sees the empty water bottle, the tape is gone, and there's no one's there. Like, he can't find anyone. He starts running towards the overpass, towards that area. Shadowy things start moving between him and that space, and he is forced to turn back. And eventually, after running this way and that, he finds himself basically further away yet, on the other side of the park from where he started, kind of having worked his way all the way around. And so now between him stands the park with the house in it, the overpass, and so still many miles towards home and safety. And he's abandoned Linus, and Benson, as far as he knows, has abandoned him. He can't find Benson or Hansen. He looks around, and this is a familiar neighborhood to him. He knows where he is, and he hasn't been back here in a while. Almost instinctually, he goes up to a house with like a rotted pumpkin sitting on the stoop, and tries the door. It opens, and he goes in, and this is his old home. He's come back home. As he goes in, the lamp turns on, and there sits his mother, and she smiles at him, and she's knitting something. She's doing some embroidery, and as she pulls her hand up, he sees that she's got these almost like nubby fingers, and she has burns up her neck that he sees now too that kind of glisten. She goes, "Oh, Jessup, it wasn't right of you to get out. You should have stayed in the Wicker Man with us, with your family where you belong." The door slams shut behind him, and we cut to the outside of the house as the light goes out.
Benson is currently dragging Evan back across Bike-o-mancers territory. And he's like, seriously, you have to be quiet here. Because the Bike-o-mancers, they're already mad at us and kind of shot one of their bikes earlier. So shh. We're making our way across. And for the most part, like everybody stays in at night. So I'm not too worried about the Bike-o-mancers, but everything else is trouble, right? We already ran into that one goat thing. We've got a lot of territory to cover yet. And Evans is little and slow and tired and starting to get kind of whiny.
I think that's when
Ring.
I was gonna go that way. I was thinking about. I think that's not a bad way to go. I think let's do it. Go ahead.
All
Yeah,
right.
you are hearing the rings.
All right.
Ring, 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 ring. Apparently, the Bike-o-mancers are staying out at night.
I think the whining has set them off.
Indeed. It's not just the whining, but the trail of candy wrappers that's sort of been surreptitiously
Where-
left behind you. Where is he getting all
Where
this
did
damn
you get all this
candy?
candy?
You're hearing the ring, ring, but then you're seeing the bike light flashing through the different sort of car windows that you've been trying to use as cover. That these Bike-o-mancers, that there's a good amount of them, and possibly all around you.
Yeah, so fold them in.
All right.
Are those bikes?
Yeah.
Well, at least it's not witches or the hexed ones.
You know, probably worse.
Mm.
At least with the witches. It's not even real, right?
Evan pees himself gently.
From your vantage points, it seems like some of the Bike-o-mancers have homemade crossbows, and they have affixed them to the front of their handlebars.
Evan, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run, and we're going to run and get past that fence where they won't be able to ride after us. From there, we can get to the overpass and get back into our territory. You ready?
Okay.
Go.
Uh,
And Evan starts running, and Benson doesn't. And the Bike-o-mancers immediately start turning, at which point, as soon as I get like the side of their lights, I start opening fire at them from a completely other angle. injure 2 of them before I start running, hoping to scatter chaos. This goes mostly pretty well, but a couple of them get shots off, and I take a makeshift crossbow bolt to the rib cage. It's one of those flat blunt tip arrows, which, still, like, I don't have any armor, and those still penetrate skin, and it cracks a rib. And I shout and yell, fall to the ground briefly, feel my rib twist underneath me. It's a little bit hard to breathe. I've got to go. I turn up and scream, point the light back, my gun back where I think the arrow came from, and I shoot, and the bike light goes out.
Evan is running. 2 of the Bike-o-mancers have peeled off and are probably about to run him down. More of them are around you. You're firing your gun, and that's when everything starts to shake as the entire ground starts to just rumble and shake suddenly.
I've got a determination die.
Ooh, determination die.
I feel strongly about this.
As a powerful earthquake begins. Ooh, you just made it.
The Bike-o-mancers lose their balance all around. Bikes start tipping over. Panicked, well-trained footsteps of people running for cover. And we just bolt. Evan's easy enough to catch up with, even with this busted rib. We get back to the overpass in our territory. Behind us, we can kind of hear the overpass crumbling a little bit more. When we glance back in the moonlight, we can see a gigantic creature taking shallow piranha-like bites out of the concrete. When it gets up into the air, we can see through it a little bit. In the moonlight, it reflects. And we get back to the haven, look down at Evan's fingers, which seem to be shoddy and worse for wear. Well, you met the boogeyman and survived. End scene.
Let's do our little epilogue scenes.
Linus is never seen again. No one really knows what happens to him. He never made it out of the park house, the death house, if you will. But through his sacrifice, Evan was able to make it back. Maybe even Benson as well. However, curiously, in the nights and weeks that follow, there start to be these large runes which are placed upon the overpass. And they seem to be embedded into the sides of it and seem to act as some sort of magical barrier for the tribe's territory, keeping those magical creatures that spawn from the park and the park house at least away from them from that angle.
We cut to a boardroom a good 20 years later. There are a bunch of people with like short, nubby fingers. The moon is out. You see it through the light shining into their boardroom. And they have this woven, like with animal bones, like big rectangle on the wall. And it lights up. And you see another of these like twisted creatures and another boardroom with like some people around it being like, oh, are we coming through okay? Yeah, we can hear you. How are things going in Tokyo? Oh, they're great. And so there's this whole conversation and they bring up, let me share my screen with you.
There was some scream
and you
sharing.
hear ah! As they slice like a someone, and then they brings up a map, and you see portions of this city, and they're like, yeah, we've got it to a pretty good parity now, where there's like basically cushioned areas where these kids can kind of go and collect safely, and we can just kind of pick them off one by one and gather them as needed. Things are going really well. This has been I think we can maintain our hold. This is going to be great.
Great harvest here.
Yeah, this is fantastic. What a great time. You know what? I'll see you guys at the retreat.
Unless there's anything else.
Sigilling off, and then
Benson, as the sole returner of the expeditionary force to go rescue Evan is quickly kind of installed as leader. That quickly proves to be possibly the worst mistake that the Haven has made. Because Benson is kind of a tyrant and a horrible person. Evan is busy looking up to him and being kind of like little sidekick finally steps on Benson's last nerve, and Benson shoots him.
Oh!
Like in the middle of a meeting. Everybody leaves after that. Whether they join the Bike-o-mancers or whatever. Benson starts blowing the last of fuel, playing Battlefield on the projector in the church basement, fucks off and lets the rest of whatever happens until somebody else comes to claim his territory.
With that, our story ends. We will return again with a new tale to spin to dare to entertain. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho and on Instagram at board_ghost. Ken, where can people find you?
Board Ghost, you can find me, Ken Breeze, on Twitch and Instagram at Berlingsbeard, Berlings Beard. I am a for-hire Dungeon Master in the New York City area. You should hire me to run your games. Also, I have a D&D project, a product called the Adventure Mixtape, which is just releasing. It's 4 one-shot D&D adventures that also come along with musical tracks, so you can play with those adventures. Check that out on Drive-Thru RPG.
And I'm Tim Rodriguez. You can find me on Twitter at Dice Food Lodging, and you can find my company Galileo Games at Galileo Games on Twitter and GalileoGames.com. Take a look for our upcoming Feudal Japan powered by the Apocalypse game, 1,000 Arrows, coming in October to Kickstarter.
Oh, I can't wait.
To find more about the players and engine in our story, go visit boardghost.com. You can attempt to pierce the veil and contact us on Twitter at BoardGhostWorld. You can also go leave reviews on iTunes. You can subscribe there so you don't miss out on the latest episodes. And again, best thing to do, word of mouth. Let people know about the show, because then people will know more about these cool games that we play all the time. And that's the best part, is more people playing these awesome games. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. You can also collaborate in making the show with us on Patreon at patreon.com/boardghost. We've got some exclusive exclusive videos showing how to play some of these games that we release semi-regularly and that are exclusive to our patrons. And we also put out some art. We also try to give you early access to the shows as we edit them. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they're consumed, the truer they become.
Dying, don't agree with me.